Okay, welcome back. Today we are going to see about functions in C. Various way to write a function in C. That is what we are going to see. So functions are just like our mathematical functions. For example, sin x is a function, right? So whatever value x takes, so we have a corresponding value for y, right? So this in C's terminology, this is called as argument, and this is called as value of the function, or more precisely the return value of the function. Okay, with this terminology, let's jump into what are the different ways to write functions in C. Okay, so there are three ways to write functions in C. We'll call that as type 1 function, type 2 function, and type 3 function. Okay, these types are based on the argument and the return type. Okay, so when a function takes no argument and when the function returns no value, then that is called as type 1. So when the function takes some arguments and no return value, then we'll say it is type 2. Okay, so when the function takes arguments as well as returns a value, then we'll say it is type 3. Okay, so to demonstrate each of these ways of writing functions, we'll go back to code. So I've created three different files. So let's start from type 1. Okay, so what are we going to do? What is the function that we are going to do? So we are going to create a function to find the area of circle. Okay, we all know the formula for area of a circle. So it takes radius and it calculates with the formula pi r square, and that's it. Okay, right? So it's as simple as that. So let's create a function. So okay, so why have I written void there? So there is a reason for writing void, because we are going to write a type 1 function returns nothing. Okay, so then we have to, our skeleton has to look like this. We have not specified anything, that means that it is not taking arguments. Optionally we can write void here as well, both are correct. Okay, so what value we need? So we need the radius to find the area, right? So let's get the radius from the user. So I'm going to say rad as radius in short. So I'm going to initialize radius. So I'm going to take integer for now so that it is easy for me. So then now I can print out the area directly. That is one option. So I'm going to do that right away. So I'm going to use this in the expression and type it everything. Okay, so I'm not going to use additional variables here. So I can also use additional variables that I'll be demonstrating soon. For the, let's use that for the function 2 or something. Okay, so now that we have written a function, so it says void area of a circle void, and it is declaring a name, taking a reading the radius, more importantly the ampersand, then it is printing the area. Okay, then it is printing the area. Okay, pi r square. Okay, so how do we call this function from our main? We'll just call this way. So the function name followed by the open close braces, because it is not taking any argument, and semicolon. This will invoke this function. Invoke meaning this will call this function and the execution will get transferred, and each line in the function will be executed by the program. Okay, so this is type 1. Let's compile and check, and also we'll run if possible. Okay, hopefully it works. Okay, it works. Okay, so this is how we write type 1 function. Let's go to type 2 function. So type 2 function takes arguments. So in here, what arguments we can take for calculating area? We can take radius as our arguments, okay, but it's not going to return anything. So let's write void straight away. So area of a circle, so I'll say 2 to denote the difference in our function. Okay, so what are we going to do here? So okay, so this is a skeleton of a program. So if we have to pass our radius here, then what should we do? So we have to take that radius from main function, right? So our scanf will move to main function now. So and our function invocation will contain, what does it will contain? It will just contain area of a circle 2 and this value that we have got from the user. Okay, so that's it. So now let's revisit a function. So it is void area of a circle. So in here we want only one item from the main, right? So we are getting only one value from the user. For example, if it was area of a triangle or something, maybe we'll need two arguments. In that case, we'll write, say, something length or breadth or whatever. So you can have multiple arguments like this. More importantly, you have to specify what is the data type of the argument passed here. So if there was two data type of int, then it is like you have to say something like this. Okay, so let's not worry about that much. So in here we want only one data type, that is radius. So this radius is, we can use this radius to compute our area. So I'm going to say, I'm going to have a one more variable here now, float, which is equal to 3.14 multiplied by rad and rad. Okay, so what I have to do now, I have to print the answer. So how will I print? I'll say print area percentage f slash n, and I have to give some name for this variable, right? I'll name it as area so that it is meaningful, and semicolon. Okay, so let's revisit. So since this is type 2 function, it has to take arguments. We have to pass the arguments from main. So we have to get the values from the user from main. So that is why our scanf has moved to main function. So we are calling the main function, but this time with rad, just rad. You should not use int here, just the variable name that is being passed here. So this invocation will pass the value here. So this rad will be copied here. So from here the program continues. Okay, one more thing. So some might ask, should we always use rad here? That is, should we use the same variable name as in the function? No, need not be. So we can actually use some other variable also. In here I've used r. It is perfectly fine to have a different variable name also. Okay, now that we have completed function 2, let's run this and check for a moment. Okay, hopefully it works, and it works. Okay, so now that we are moving to type 3 function, type 3 function takes one argument and also returns a value. Okay, in here what value we are going to return? It returns some data type. So in here integer, float, which data type we want? We want float because our area is in float, right? Okay, so then how should we write? We should start with float because that is our return type, right? So area of circle. Okay, so I'm going to say 3 now. So we have to take arguments. So again I'm using int r because the radius is that is passed is an integer. So I'm going to say, I'm going to compute area here now. 3.14 multiplied by r into r semicolon. Okay, now is the important step. So now that we want to return the value, this is just like our sine function, it takes x and returns a value, right? So we have to return whatever value we have computed here, otherwise main will not receive that value. Okay, so we have to say return area semicolon. So we are computing whatever value we have computed, we are returning that to the main function. So okay, how will we write our main function now? So we have to pass a variable first. So again it is same like our previous program, we need int, the declaration and the scanf. So I'm just going to copy paste from type 2. Okay, now how do we use? We'll use area 3 and rad. Okay, so is that all? No, so there is no printf. So this, so if we run this program, what happens? So if we can check, so it doesn't print anything because we have not printed any value here. So this area of the circle, when it is invoked, returns a value. So we have to store that return value in some, you have to catch that variable, right, in some variable and assign it to this. So for example here I'm just saying float area equal to this. So whatever value this function is returning, so that gets stored into area. So this is an important point to note. If you don't, in the type 3 function, if you don't assign the value to a variable, then that value is lost basically. So I'm going, what I did is I have declared float area and I'm just assigning this. Now just I'll say printf and I'll just print the area. Okay, so area and then say area variable. Okay, that's it. Hopefully there's no error, and let's check whether it is working. Area, which is working perfectly fine. So okay, there is one more way to invoke the function without storing the value. That is, I'll tell you that quickly. So instead of assigning the value here, we can actually call that function directly inside the printf, and whatever value that function is being written, you have to correctly specify the access specifier. In here it is returning float, I'm just saying %f, then it will work fine. So this is in type 3, this is another way to print the value. So let's check it out. So it works perfectly fine. So these are the 3 different ways of writing a function. So you have to choose appropriately based on the need while writing programs. So I hope this clears all the doubt. Maybe I'll give you one homework from this exercise, is that instead of using 3.14, try writing 22/7 and observe what happens. Okay, bye.